Thank you, School Reformer and Ms. Ravina, for this opportunity. I'm really looking forward to interacting with teachers and learners across. I am Aprajita Ralli, and I strongly believe in the power of the student. It is because of the students that we are I will be talking about what is student agency, how teachers can enable it, and also what we at my space of work are doing to put that in action. So this is me, Aprajita. I am a principal in the IB school in Hyderabad, and I've been teaching for the past 31 years. And I believe that if I have to impart knowledge, I have to be a learner myself, and therefore very proudly saying that I am a lifelong learner. I'm an instructional coach and also a teacher trainer. So I enjoy my sharing of whatever I've gained over the time. Student agency is something that we are learning along the path. It's not, as I said, we have to upskill ourselves. It's not what the students are learning, but they are owning their learning. They have a voice and they have a choice and the ownership in what they are learning in the process of learning. It might seem very jargoned to begin with. How do we enable that? How are we going to empower students? If a teacher is not teaching anything, how is the student learning? You'll be surprised to see that students have to have that voice to own that learning and to showcase that ownership. We need to give them those genuine decision-making opportunities. We need to let them understand as a learner, what is the stretch that they can push themselves to? How do they decide what the learning objective is and what their own outcome is? It is noticed a lot of times that we believe that a particular student is pitching himself or herself at a level 5, and we feel that we can push them forward. We feel that the child has more potential, but the child has more potential. Yes, does the child want that potential? What subject is the child looking for the highest grade level at? Is the child given that choice? Is it what the adults think that the child has to function on? So these are the kind of questions that we allow students to think about, teachers to think about, to empower the students and to empower ourselves in the process, because it is a lot of things that we do in the classes which should not be done. So as I said, we construct the learning goals for the students. We engaged in their own multiple perspectives that they are building about their education. It is not the teachers or the parents' education anymore. It is their education. So how we are just the backbone, how we facilitate them, and how they take the leadership and the ownership. That is what agency is all about. So what, as I said, that there are things that we are doing already, which we should not be doing, which we should be avoiding. Agency does not mean that we let them do what they want. It is that we put down very clear expectations. We put down very clear learning outcomes. We may give them the choice of the learning outcomes. We may give them the levels that they can reach, but all students must certainly pass one level. And the next level, they choose where they want to be. So it's not something that they do anything randomly, but it's a very structured kind of an approach which enables student agency. It is not about less work for teachers. We can never rest easy. Teachers have to be intentionally providing those meaningful engagements and very constructive ongoing assessments, feedbacks, formative, summatives, so that the students' complete potential is brought out, not only to the teacher, but also to the students themselves. It is not about then, therefore, letting them work independently. because to be able to demonstrate that agency that the students have to, it is very important that they understand that they have a backing. They have somebody to hold them once they fall. If they fall, to build resilience and to have them move forward, to own that fall also, they need to understand and to be able to reflect, to be able to evaluate what they have done so far and then moving from there, so that they cannot do on their own. That structure needs to be provided by the teacher. And so it cannot definitely be exclusively done alone. It needs a complete academic progress and process. It's very nicely said often, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And we need to therefore meet the students where they are, encourage them, encourage their agency. The three very, very key important words that we must understand in today's day and age is the voice, choice, and ownership. And how do we empower each and every student into that process is what I'm going to share with you moving forward. So a student should be able to look into what they are learning, planning their learning, self-monitor or have someone else monitor their learning, evaluate that, build up those attitudes and attributes to integrate, let's say, technology or the new learning or new skills that they have adapted, and the realization of it. All of that is a mix of something called metacognitive learning, wherein a student knows what to connect with from the world, that is, whatever is being taught to them, to be able to plan, reflect, execute, and envision in future what I want to do with what I have learned. So the real world connection needs to be built. That is how we are empowering the students to move forward. And all of this, of course, is centered around the many parts of the brain that we as teachers need to trigger off thinking in. I believe strongly in metacognition and enabling the student to help them understand, learn what to learn and how to learn. So the student is not only learning from within the classroom, but the whole world is their classroom. So we help them read, we help them think, we help them see, we help them wonder. So we give them those kind of questions. We help them notice, we help them feel for what's happening around the world. Once we've got this metacognitive skills, sort of triggered, the student is ready to be taken into the realms, a deeper realm of teaching and learning, where we are letting them own their process. And so for that, we need to always adopt the fish philosophy. We need to be present for them all the time. It's a tough job, but as teachers, we need to be alert. We need to shower them with confidence and give them words of, praise, advice. We need to include playway and choose our own attitude. Am I an enabler? Am I somebody who's empowering the students? Am I giving them those opportunities to be able to excel and also to show to themselves the way of success? So once a student sees success in their own path and journey, they definitely will align themselves with the vision that they set for themselves and you have set for them. So that is where the learning outcome or the ownership becomes a complete picture. And how does one do that? How can one look at it? So we look at establishing a high quality teaching environment wherein we ensure the 4 pillars that need to be achieved. And this is how we do it at my school. We look at establishing transparency. A student is very clearly aware of how he is getting assessed or she is getting assessed. What are the rubrics? What are the assessment criteria? They are given freedom to communicate and collaborate within a group. And it's not that in collaboration, if they're working, that the entire group is getting assessed at one time. No. Each one of them is assigned a role, or they choose their roles within that collaborative space, and then they set their tasks very clearly. The teacher assesses each one of them at their own work that they are turning in. So it's not, while they're working collaboratively, the assessment is not collaborative. Assessment is individual. Therein comes in the planning of the teacher. the teacher, can sort of say that, okay, all of you are, let's say, working on a project. Let's see what your roles are. So a student can say that, okay, I want to be a recorder of the whole event. I want to be the speaker. I want to be the leader in here, or I want to be the presentation maker. I want to be the person who is researching and bringing facts together or building more perspectives. So there itself, I have enlisted about 6 roles that a teacher can assign for any project given in any subject. And that will entail collaboration, because till each part of the group doesn't work, the answers don't, the story doesn't get completed, the project doesn't get completed. And then, therefore, they look for world solutions. They look for solutions across the globe. So they identify a problem, they look for solutions. And when they are suggesting solutions, they are unique. We are developing those critical thinking skills in them. That's an innovative way of learning and teaching, wherein we give them, any kind of technical support also in terms of technology, use technology to meet more people, to start out surveys, to look at different aspects of the problem, build perspectives, ask for, advice from people who are in places of position. And all of this is very easily reachable through using the technology and technical platforms these days. By the end of this process, we have done very simply achieved high quality teaching and learning and empowering the students, which is the heart of all the teaching and learning that we do at my school. When we are empowering the students, we realize that our role is just the role. If you see this, it's just the role of the trunk. So we are providing that succulence, that sustenance to the children, but we are not really actively involved in their teaching learning. While it is all planned, the process is all set, the way is all chalked out, and the student just moves from phase to phase to be the monarch butterfly of their lives. And that is, I think, the aim for every educator, that they see the student at reaching the highest levels of their own journey. So what we do, and I do very, very successfully, is engaging the students and teachers with the sustainable development goals. And we've got multiple projects going in the school from every subject area, which is what I'm going to showcase now, which has empowered students to ask questions from different authorities, to provide solutions to all the problems that are socially, politically existing in our society. And we may be talking as adults in, sitting in our drawing rooms and talking about, oh, this is a challenge. Oh, pollution is a challenge. Oh, population is a challenge. Oh, why is the environment getting so, because the whole climate action is not happening effectively. So we are getting impacted by in the environment that we live in. What are we handing over to the children? These are the conversations that normally we hear the adults go through. When the students start asking these questions, when the students become the transformative force, that is where the education is really happening. That is where the problems start getting addressed. And it is for the larger humanity that you're raising your students to see things in a different way. And so I'll just take you through what we are doing. These are some things that I really, really believe in. And I make sure that all students at the beginning of the year are aware of the sustainable goals and how these can be integrated into the academic year learning. So I take sessions with my teachers on the sustainable development goals. And, for every strand or every skill that we see that the students are achieving or we want them to achieve, we get them to look at the sustainable goals for solutions, for problem solving. It's very easy when they have a goal in hand. As I said, empowerment cannot be totally a random act. It has to be structured. It has to be driven through a process. And the sustainable goals becoming part of the solution are the best guiding lines for that process. So we have examples of India and we have examples of children abroad who are doing so well. Um, where on the screen you see Lysipriya and you also see Greta Thunberg, who have done these beautiful things across the world. And Lysipriya Kango is a very small girl from a very small town in India, and she is now gone and got the global awards for environment protection, and she's raised voice just like other people across the world are, the adults are. So the process of setting goals, initiating the action towards those goals, and to understand what are the countries doing about it. How do I, if the countries are doing so much, what am I? What is my place? Who am I? How can I? So the I becomes part of the solution instead of part of the problem. And therefore, when they understand the responsibilities, so what we did, we as is written there, that we help them integrate SDGs for the global alignment, the real world solutions. So our children at grade 12, they through the business management course, they proposed solving the problem of waste management, and they have gone across different schools to help children understand the e-wastage and how that can be helped across the city. These have been put up in two different parts of the city, and this was inaugurated by the MLA and things. So that itself, when the validation comes from the senior members of the society, renowned members of the society, children are their actions are more validated and they feel more motivated to do much more. And this was aligned through SDG 11 and 12. Again, so as I said earlier, that we do mapping of the curriculum, and I do development, professional development, and then we have a collaborative approach. This was something that the students, the senior school students, they do it every week. They align themselves with this KMRF foundation that the school runs, and the children from the lesser privileged school are brought in. However, we don't just have fun with them. It's not just an activity. This is aligned to their physical health and education classes, wherein students look at the service element of through that unit on how we can develop, they become coaches, and how we can develop physical health and how we can advocate that through our SDG number 3. And then after that, they will understand the needs of these children and they will take it forward. Surveys are carried out, discussions are held, and they will take it forward to creating a business model. And this turns out into a yearly fiesta, the carnival that the school community has. And it's free of cost for these children. Whatever money and the sponsorships that get collected, they go into the needs that have been established by the children. And that goes towards the foundation. Again, it's not just a charity activity, but a very student-led, motivated by the children, by the cause that they are aligning themselves to. Then we have, for every different age level, we do different things. So we do an interdisciplinary approach. We do have a vertical alignment document, which tells us which SDG is getting covered by which class. So while the students are talking about these different things, whatever is happening in the society, they bring forth those documents and those data to us. It's very data driven. It's very subject driven. It's very, again, to use the same word again, structured. But it gives a sense that it is something that has come from the students. Students don't get to feel where the teachers are there, because very nicely we'll call for proposals, we'll vet the proposals, and then we let them run the campaign. And whatever they do, there is a teacher who will just be guiding them. we've never had to, touch wood, we've never had any problems with children coming in saying that, or adults or parents coming in saying that children are misguided or they've done things which were beyond the school, you know, which was bad for the school reputation or whatever. Nothing like that. It's been very smooth because the planning which has gone in is very structured, very, very proper planning, detailed. So that's how it comes to authentic learning, as I was saying, hands-on experience. And we are also looking at effective problem solving, wherein the students are looking at issues that they have read in their social sciences. And they get enrolled into a project called the Climate Action Project, which is related to SDG 13. And based on that, they look at problems, they take out campaigns, they talk about things with children across the world. They educate other children on what they have been doing. They have Insta pages and so on and so forth. So you see the kind of, the innovative learnings that they bring in, wherein they talk about using the social media for effective educative purposes. This was again something that the students had done. They did a survey around the school and they brought in this report. They advocated what the school issues were in terms of, excessive use of the ACs or the organic farm, how we can sort of work on it better and bring it, make it more effective. Then they spoke of the kind of buses that were being used and so on and so forth. They developed the entire grade 7, they developed proposals, about 8 to 9 proposals, which they put up to me and to the head of the school. And then they were taken up also to the management. And, in fact, the organic farm has become more effective after the children have put in their innovative ideas and they've been, able to think critically about the issues that they were facing. So they now go and serve there. Every other day we get an update on what is happening in the farm, how much is the produce, what are they doing with the produce and things like that. And the students believe, of course, it's not only their belief, but it is also something that they've been able to embrace sustainability in many, many ways and bring about a change in our existing environment. I think if you are able to help the students bring about the change in the sphere of influence that they operate in, they see success in that. And that's something that we need to have them look at. So yeah. As I said, we help them engage with the topic, then they explore on it, which they investigate, then they explain with reasoning why they've taken up this issue and how they are going to be able to resolve it. Then they elaborate on the knowledge that they have acquired. They evaluate after reflecting upon the solution, and then they start working on the solution with adequate, enough feedback continuously, which has been given by the teachers, their supervisors, their guides from time to time. So there are checkpoints, there are check-ins that we keep having with the children. Often it's not that they are left in totally, but it works very smoothly because the students believe that this is their place under the sun and this is their space that they need to improve upon and they need to give back to. So the whole cycle of ownership becomes complete. With that, I come to an end of my 25 minutes. Thank you so much. It was lovely sharing my experience with you.
Thanks, ma'am. If you can stop sharing the screen, we can have a better view of you. Yes, ma'am. So I don't see any audience, but I have received a couple of questions from the speakers, the other speakers. So, but most of the points are already covered by you, but still I will ask the same to you. The first question is, ma'am, how can we make traditional rigid subjects more flexible to allow students more control over their learning?
So I come from a traditional setup of learning too. It's out of the 31 years that I've taught, 10 years, or I think 15 now, 15 years I have been in the IB. And that's where I changed my way of thinking. And with the NEP coming in, with us needing to inject, the attributes and the profiles and the skills to the students more than just the content. I think this is an elementary part of a training program that we must put all our teachers through. So if you have your existing unit plan or your lesson plan that is there, make it more, ask the students, speak to them. Okay, this is what it is. So what we do is I walk into the class and I say, I put it on board. I make the learning very transparent. I put it on board that today we will be doing this in class. By the end of the lesson, you should be able to answer these questions. And when I'm giving them the task to do that, I always will ask, do you have any other way of doing it? Let's co-create the rubric for this. How do we know that your learning is achieved? Okay, I'm putting things on the board. What are the things that I will have to see in you at the end of the lesson for me to understand that you have been able to grasp these learning objectives of mine? So this is my task. Learning objective is my task. Learning outcome is your task. Now you tell me, what do you think I should see to be able to pinpoint these? And more often than not, we see children coming up with, we should be able to raise questions. We should be able to, ma'am, share issues. We should be able to give you more problems. Ma'am, research does not mean that we are just looking through the net, is it? We should be able to give you more content, isn't it, ma'am? So that's where I've got their voice into the learning process.
Okay. So coming to the research part, the second question is related to that only, ma'am. So what does research say? A student said this to you, but the question is the same. What does the research say about how giving students more control affects their long-term success and personal growth?
Research talks about personal, growth and professional growth for teachers and children both, if the agency is provided. Research also says that the project-based learning approach, the student empowerment, the flipped approach, which is all again engaging students in their own levels, meeting them where they are, is what is the requirement of the new age. We need to develop and help them develop the 21st century skills. Without giving them that independence to do so, we will not succeed in this. So we need to meet the children where they are.
Right. So can you mention some ways to keep student choice and control during standardized tests and assessments, ma'am?
Standardized assessments. Okay, so for assessments, integration of technology is a good way. Today, especially after the pandemic, there are so many tools that the schools were exposed to and given, wherein assessments were held. Especially the in-school assessments, the summatives, we could hold them if we are asking the students to, let's say, do just paper pen. That's one of the ways that we have them to do things. They can write essays, they can write role plays, they can write scripts, they can make presentations, they can make videos. There is so much, but all of that, what I do is, and what works well with me is, while the student is writing a blog entry, or the student is talking about any kind of a video that he wants to make or a podcast, all of that is just what is the product. The process has to be marked also, wherein the research or the investigation or the Googling that they do so much, all of that also is recorded on a document and shared with the teacher to show them the process.
Okay. So, ma'am, how does having students assess their own work help them to change of their learning?
Okay, so this again, what I do is that I help the students make a rubric in class. So we co-create the rubric. Once I put down the lesson objectives, I'll tell them, children, today we are assessing ourselves. So I will give you your documents back. I'm giving you the criteria. There is the assessment criteria and there is the mark scheme that I've given to you. So these three things are there with you. And now, do you think that after the mark scheme, do you think there's something more we can add in that? Do you think this mark scheme is correct? Let's co-create a new one. If they say, no, ma'am, we are okay with this, we are happy with this, so then they put the mark scheme right there. This way, peer assessment also works And it has worked in big class numbers. I have had this work in even for a history answer for 40 children. Maths, of course, they do with the tickings and the science MCQs and all. But
Yes, ma'am.
they are annotated by the students. So,
Okay.
sorry.
Yes, no, ma'am. Like your screen was frozen for a second. So, yeah, now it's fine.
So I said, what I get back from the students, they are annotated by them. Whether it is peer assessment or it's self-assessment, the work is annotated by them that this is where I could have done better, or this is where this one could have done better. According to the answer scheme, this should have been written. Once the transparency is built for them, they know where they are going. There is no way that we can fail.
Okay. So coming to the training programs for the teachers, ma'am, what kind of training programs have you implemented which help teachers learn to support student agency in your school?
So I have, in fact, designed modules for teachers to take so there are 8 lessons modules. There are other 3, 4 classes that I take or goal setting sessions that I take for what is project-based learning. So once they have understood what is project-based learning, they take the children through step by step. There are 8 steps to project-based learning, and I will first train the students, and then they will go and apply, and then they come back and give feedback. It's a slow process. It's a coaching process. It's a slow process. But once we are into that process of learning and teaching and coaching, it is something that stays for life then. The idea of the teacher reflecting on each and every step of the way is more important. Then we hold sessions for, there is also something called, which I've initiated in the school this year, is called classroom action research. So as a group, the HOD decides in the subject area, whatever is the challenge. So in this subject area, my team has challenge executing collaborative work. So the teachers read around it, they understand how to do it, they come up with skills, and then they go and apply it in the class, and they come and give feedback to the HOD, and the HOD shares the success or the failure rate with me, and then I step in. And then I give them those specific strategies, which they again function. So as I said, it's not something that happens overnight. We have been working on it. And then the teacher's goals are set from this, that I've tried, I could not, I would need mentoring in this one, and I assign, Miss Aprajita or Miss So-and-so or Mr. So-and-so as my mentor or my guide for the year, or for 3 months, or for 2 months, till I have understood the process that I have enrolled myself in. So there is a self-enabling system which we develop within the school itself. Plus, we also send teachers for professional development courses outside with the IB.
Nice to know, ma'am. So I hope the educators who have posted these questions to me, have sent the questions to me, got their answers, and I'm sure like it will help them also implementing, in implementing the same in their schools or at their workplace.
Yeah,
So thank you for the talk, ma'am, and for patiently answering all the questions. I know those were repetitive, but like thanks for throwing more light on it and being more elaborative. We also thank the audience or the educators who have sent me these questions and participating in the event. We will end the session now, ma'am. Before we end, I would like to thank you again from School Reformer for, sharing your knowledge on our platform and, giving your valuable time. I know your schedules are very busy. I thank all the educators, whoever gives the talk on our
exactly.
platform. And thank you.
It's
Do you
always a
want to mention?
pleasure.
Yes,
Loved
ma'am.
having being here. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. I'll stop the recording now.
Yes.